interestingly, this Nevada thing. I said there's a letter from the American Dental Association. They're all for it. They're all for the thing in Nevada, and I can see that's why hygienists are red hot mad about it, because it actually took the state, a state-based thing, and then the national organization weighed in saying, yeah, we're all for this thing. So that signals a lot. And frankly, the American Dental Association might as well be the insurance companies at that point. So
we've been misled to believe that dentistry, more specifically the dental business, has to be complicated. Dentistry can be simple, and dentistry should be simple. Hello, everybody. I am back, and this week I have an oldie but goodie friend, Dr. Alan Mead from Michigan. Alan, how are you doing?
I am good. We are oldies but goodies. I was thinking of a time, this is funny, the first townie meeting I went to. I remember you and Smear were desperately trying to run it. You were like, and that's when I think I first met you. And I don't think I got to talk to you for very long, because you guys were running around a lot that meeting is what I remember. And I think it was before it was Planet Hollywood. Remember when it was the Aladdin?
Oh, so the Aladdin.
Yeah. That's
Holy
a long
smokes.
time ago. That's a long time ago. That's like approaching maybe 20 years ago or 18.
That might be 2005, 2006.
That sounds about right. So yeah, 20 years ago. It was that's sort of, that brings us way back, because we were both Dentaltown people. I came on after you were there, but Dentaltown was a huge thing back then. So
yeah, I remember you used to have your profile picture was a horse.
Yeah.
How are the horses, by the way?
They're good. I was laughing. My wife we have a big draft horse, and she's brought him up to graze in our front yard. So the dog doesn't quite know what to do, because it's a giant horse in her yard. So she's it's good. We don't own as many as we used to, and we board like 4, and I think we own 3. So we are a relatively low census.
So that's 7 horses.
Yeah. Which is that's a low number for us normally. There's a lot of times we got like 15 or whatever. But yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
My God. So Alan, for everybody that doesn't know, Alan has an amazing podcast called The Very Dental Podcast. Probably one of the first 5 dental podcasters in podcasting, and it's so. Absolutely amazing podcast. So please check it out.
Yes, please do.
And yeah, we'd love, Alan would love to have some more numbers. Who doesn't? I'd like to have more numbers too. Yep. So
podcasting's such a weird thing, and I know that you probably don't sweat it as much as I do, but like back a couple years ago, just the way that Apple Podcasts counted stuff, and all of a sudden, all these numbers I would brag about, just like 80% or more was gone, just like
disappeared
in the wind. Yeah, it's just gone. So you're just like, so the reality is like, I don't know that podcasting, I have no idea how anything's counted anymore. I just don't know. I don't know. I hope there's someone out there listening. That's what I'm hoping, because I don't really even know.
Well, there are people listening for sure, because I hear about it. So Alan and I want to talk about a current trending topic, one near and dear to every dentist's heart, something they all love talking about, and that's dental hygienists. Alan, specifically, what's on your mind about dental hygienists?
All right, so let me just okay. I try not to doom scroll. I don't succeed very often. But what's really interesting is this topic seems to have taken over any dental Facebook group, and it feeds on dentistry, just like, and it sounds like, okay, since COVID, we know that a lot of dental hygienists left the profession. Some of them came back. There's a shortage, allegedly. Hiring has been really tough. It's been like, I've had a very up and down since COVID. Like, hygiene has been, I've got good people, but the reality is it's been a struggle to, there's a lot of reasons to go behind it. I'm not upset about it as much as it's been hiring wise. It's been more of a roller coaster than I can remember, particularly for hygiene. But then you're hearing these different things where different states are trying to do different things to get more hygienists or more capacity for doing hygiene in the office.
It's interesting. You just reworded what you just said.
Yeah. The reality is that I don't know. I don't even know what to think about any of it. If I'm being perfectly honest, and I am not normally particularly honest, I'm enjoying sitting back and watching the absolute chaos. I'm enjoying everyone's mad about it. And I don't even know how to have a feeling about it at this point. But
Well, why is anybody mad about this? I mean, man, you're going to get me going. So just, okay,
so.
fill everybody in. If you don't know, basically what's happened is the hygienist, I'm only making that from, I think that's the movie Central Intel. I don't know what movie it is with Kevin Hart, that the guy is a dental hygienist.
Hygienist. Okay, yeah, okay.
And so basically they're in uproar again because now the state of Alabama, state of Nevada, a few other states will fall in line or fall down this line, not in line per se, that they're now lowering the standards of becoming a hygienist or now they're considering allowing non-hygienists to perform hygiene.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in some states, they're talking about having added training for, let's say, dental assistants that would allow for coronal scaling. And I mean, the reality is, like, a lot of states are floating a lot of different ideas to make this easier. And hygienists are mad about all of it. The latest thing that seems to have really set everyone on fire was Nevada had a Senate bill proposed, I think last week. Is it 435 or something like that? Senate bill. It is not law. Just so I was reading it, I'm like, the way everyone talked, it had already happened. It's law. It was proposed like less than a week ago. And interestingly, I just did this. The hygiene thing is like 2 sentences in a huge 40-page bill that's being proposed and just mentions. And that's enough that the hygienists are freaking out. Basically, they're saying they want to change the way that in Nevada hygienists are educated. They could be essentially they're talking about like an on-the-job training hygiene. And the interesting thing is Alabama's been doing it this way for freaking ever. It's been like this for as long as I can remember. And I don't remember everyone like having a complete blowout over Alabama. I think people didn't like it, but I think frankly
nobody cared about Alabama.
Nobody was making the deal out of it. But now that Nevada's proposing it, everything's coming to the top. So I'm seeing. I mean, dentists are sort of glad because maybe in some cases dentists have had a really hard time even finding any hygienists at all. Hygienists are mad because they're like, look, we went to school for this long to learn this, and these are undereducated people that are going to harm patients. And I mean, it goes all over the place. I know you're laughing. It goes all over. You're hearing, and on Facebook, you don't have to look very far to see people fighting about this. Thus, I get the popcorn and I shut the hell up because I'm just like I'm here for the ride at this point. So tell me what your thoughts are, Tarun. I'm interested.
Well, I have lots of thoughts on this, and I'm probably in a minority in the sense that I don't give two craps.
You and I are sort of, I mean, at this point, I'm interested to see how it shakes out. I don't have strong feelings about any of it at this point. I have strong feelings that I like watching the shit show.
Yeah. I don't really care a lot about it because I'm convinced that I will find a way to overcome or handle whatever it is we have to handle. Okay. And so let's talk and please interrupt me. I mean, I have you on as the guest, but interrupt me, as we go through this. Let's take a look at the landscape of hygiene and dentistry from 2020 to 2025. Everything was fine and dandy until 2020. And I have no ill will or negativity towards hygienists asking for and getting more pay. Zero issue with it whatsoever. Okay. On average, we've seen in North Carolina, in my practice, we've seen an increase of almost 60 to 70% in hygiene wage in the last 5 years. Okay. And as you alluded to, we've seen a decrease in availability of hygienists. Now, it could be because people left the profession, or it early exited maybe 3 or 4 years worth of people saying, I'm going to retire in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah. Let me just honestly, remembering back in 2020, I can totally see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not here for this anymore. I was almost done anyhow, and I'm gone. Yeah. And that can account for a lot of it, yes.
Yeah, so we lose that. And then in every single state, there has been an influx of corporate dentistry, DSO dentistry, small mid-market DSOs, local I want to be a DSO groups, and they're built on a model of what I call commodity dentistry.
Yep.
So that's the model of 2 hygienists, 3 hygienists per dentist. Okay. And so they've come to markets and they've started hiring people. And so we've had this increase in demand, a decrease in supply. Hence, we've had an increase in wages and the challenges, what's happened. Okay. That's how we've gotten here. Now, some of us, me included, have gone to a model where we make hygiene less important, not important, but less important to the growth of our practice by incorporating or doubling down on specialty dentistry. Some of us are in the position, not me, or have been in the position to drop insurance and increase fees to accommodate this, overall about 40% increase in total team labor, 60 to 70% on the hygiene side. And some of us have been in a group situation where you have negotiating power to increase your PPO reimbursements. And that applies to probably 15% of the practice market. 85% of us are like me and you, Alan, where we have no ability to negotiate. And basically we're left taking on the chin.
What we've been making from insurance has been stagnant. I mean, what they reimburse is nothing. It's not gone up significantly. Certainly not since 2020. I mean,
well, it hasn't kept up with inflation for certain.
At all, yeah, yep.
And so basically, I said this in 2020. I said this will fix itself. Entrepreneurial-minded dentists will find a way to overcome this, just like they did in medicine. Medicine went through this same thing in the 90s and early 2000s, where primary care, your internist, your family practitioner have become somewhat irrelevant in their profession by going to nurse practitioners and PAs. And we can bitch and moan about it. We can complain about it. We can do whatever it is we want to do about it. But it's a reality, and the public has accommodated to it.
Honestly, I constantly complain about how terrible being a patient is in the medical system. To be honest, it's way worse than it used to be.
Yeah.
We've accommodated, but it sucks. I mean, we've accommodated, but it sucks. If there was, and honestly, I'm sort of like, I might pay more for something else, except right now, I'm paying a lot. I mean, I pay a ton in medical insurance premiums. I really do. And so, like, the reality is, like, I don't know that a lot of people are super happy with medicine, but it is what it is, like at that point. And so the question is, do you feel like dentistry is going to get to an it is what it is kind of thing?
Well, probably, likely, yes. Because, I mean, I've become used to Walmart being what it is now. I've become used to having not lack of service everywhere in my life because that's what everything is around us. We just we bitch and moan for 5 years and we accommodate.
Yeah. I it's interesting is like I'm on the phone with my best friend from dental school most days. And lately I'm like, dude, I just can't talk about this stuff anymore. Everything is just too negative. I get on the phone with you and I just feel worse after talking to you. So I just can't do it anymore. That's like, and like literally, I feel like that's kind of like life right now. It's just like you said, all services everywhere have gotten worse. I mean, that's painting with a broad brush, but frankly, pretty confident that broad brush fits,
Probably true.
And so services were, and actually, I literally released a podcast today talking about how low the bar is. You don't have to do, like, for patients to think you're freaking amazing. You don't have to do that much. You don't have to be that much better than anyone else. To like, that's something that I don't think we think about. The medical model sucks the way that it is. It's just, it is what it is. And they get paid well for what it is, but it sucks for what it is. I mean, like the two things that bug me the most are the fact that nobody cares. They don't do a good job and nobody cares. It is very difficult to find a caring person in that situation. And nobody talks about money. You never get to make a decision about anything based on what anything costs in medicine because you aren't the payer. I mean, like, they're more worried about your coverage than you. Like, when was the last time you went to like a general, like your family practice doctor or an internist, and they talked about money prior to anything? It never happens. Well, it doesn't happen.
I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I go to concierge medicine.
That's the right answer, by the way, Tarun. That is absolutely the right answer. Yes.
Yeah, but my doctor visits are $800.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bonkers.
Yeah.
So I want to paint a bigger picture here. Okay. So what do I see coming? Okay, again, this is going to come across as doom and gloom, and then hopefully we'll talk about how we can overcome this a little bit, okay? And so this is just the beginning. This is the beginning, Alan, okay?
Of the
And
suck?
so,
This is the beginning of the suck?
no, I think it's a beginning of opportunity.
Okay. Okay.
Like, I really believe that. I mean, it's a beginning of opportunity depending on how you look at it, okay? So now here's what I predict in the next years, okay? 5 years, 10 years, okay?
Okay.
And the clues are around us, okay? So now we'll have Hygiene Light. So they'll probably be able to do scaling and slightly below the gum, not perio treatment, okay? We already have FDAs in some states, okay? So expanded function dental assistants that can place fillings and whatever. I don't know much about it because we don't have it in North Carolina. In fact, our hygienist just got to be able to do anesthesia like a few years ago, okay?
It is wild, the variation from state to state. It's nuts.
Okay, so we got FDAs already. So we already know we have FDAs. We have denturists in some state already. Yeah. Because God forbid none of us want to do dentures. So,
that's true.
So let them do it.
Yep.
And so now we have the beginnings of the Hygiene Light.
Okay.
Okay. In Canada, we have dental therapists who can do fillings from start to finish. Okay. And then I think that will expand. In fact, in Canada, they can do simple extractions as well. Okay. So I think we're on the way to a medical model of providers,
mid-level providers doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And frankly speaking, we should have that model, in my opinion. Now, we can hate me, we can argue with me, it's okay. But as an entrepreneurial-minded dentist, but who's also a clinician, I don't want to do that stuff. Like, we need this hygiene solution, frankly speaking. Now, does it need to look the way it's looking? I'm not here to judge that. And do I blame the hygienist? I blame the hygienist for 10% of this, not for 90% of it. They're doing what everybody should do you should get yours while you can get yours.
Yeah.
Okay? And frankly speaking, the leadership of hygiene should have seen this coming 5 years ago, and they should have done a little bit more to increase capacity. Okay. And right now, the entire blame of this is going to blaming insurance companies. Like, they're not keeping up with inflation. And sure, they're not, but why would they?
Yeah.
Like, if I ran an insurance company, I sure as the hell wouldn't if I didn't have to.
Exactly.
And
so
so
the incentives, I mean, just to interrupt you, all of the reactions from everyone, the incentives line up. Everything, the reactions that people are having make sense because everyone's kind of reacting in a self-interested way. Obviously, like you said, when the hygienists are trying to get theirs, I get it.
Yeah.
And frankly, they probably see what's coming, and I can understand being upset about it. I'll bet you the family practice docs felt about the same way before PAs and nurse practitioners kind of came in and ate their lunch.
Yeah, but look, what do listen, in the family practice model, here's, again, broad general strokes here, okay? It kind of created a fork.
Yep.
Okay? Your everyday family practitioner, they basically joined a hospital or a group. Sound familiar to DSOs, correct? Your entrepreneurial family practitioner said, I'll just go hire more mid-level providers. I'll learn specialty procedures and have a component of my practice that's insurance-driven, a component of my practice that's concierge-driven that the medical doctor will provide. Okay? And I will make a good business out of this because there are people out there that want, they want local service, locally owned, locally operated service. And so
because the tier system that you just described that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. You're right. Like, literally within the same business, you could offer the concierge on one side and then like a kind of commodified version on the other side.
And that's what we've done in our practice is if you want to see me, and I say this humbly, if you want to see me, I mean, I do certain procedures, I work certain days, certain hours, and here's what it is. Okay. And I personally have dropped not every insurance, but significant number of insurance, but my practice, the business has stayed in network with more insurances now. And, you know, that part of the practice does what it does, and my part of the practice does what it does. And so, you know, the reckoning is coming that there's an opportunity for those that want to stop bitching and moaning and, you know, be politicians and roll up their sleeves or whatever, you know, fakeness they do, and get in there and start working. I mean, it's you know, you got to focus on 4 things. You got to focus on your verbal and communication skills to help patients understand. You have to work on your clinical skill set, because you got to be able to do different types of dentistry. Yep. You're going to have to work and leverage technology, because technology is, you know, I just a few years ago, I was like, what is technology going to do? Where are we going to see next improvements? And I see technology getting even bigger in dentistry. Sure. And then 4, we're going to have to work on this thing called personal branding, where we're going to have to become experts in our community and put ourselves out there to our community to help drive like-minded patients to our practice. So
I can't disagree with any of that. I wonder what's interesting to me is, like, it's so funny because when I see, and you probably see this too, if you spend any time looking at big picture social media stuff or whatever, none of it really, I don't feel that when I'm in my office at all. None of that, like it's like none of that's real life to me. Like, and I suspect it's the same way. I mean, you've set your practice up to work the way that it does, and it doesn't, whatever's going on out there doesn't really affect you, it sounds like. Is that right?
Oh, no. Of course it does. I think you're right, but not quite right completely. In that I didn't set my practice up to be this way. I pivoted my practice.
Yeah.
To be this way based on facts on the ground.
Sure.
Look, owning a dental practice is like going to war. Okay? We have a game plan. We go there and they have different bombs than we expected. And we have to go around, or we have to do something different. And sometimes we can immediately change. And sometimes it takes us 6, 7, 8 months or a year to come up with a new game plan. And so everything that I've done or have become is a pivot from the intention.
Sure.
So
no, that's fair. And honestly, there's a little bit of how can I say this? It's like, if you're not going to pivot, then you're going to suffer a little bit. There's a little bit, like, if you can't read the room, you're going to suffer a little bit. And honestly, I look at younger dentists having to kind of reinvent themselves even harder, because can you imagine coming out of school right now and wondering what's going on like this, as someone who's just got a lot of debt and not a lot of experience?
How does the hygiene situation affect the young dentist?
Well, I guess it depends on if they're trying to own a practice or not.
But even then, how does it affect it? Honestly, it only helps dentists.
Tell me, say more about that.
I mean, I've just increased my labor pool and decreased my costs.
I guess that for me, I feel for a new dentist, because I don't know, and part of it's because I'm an old guy looking backwards.
Alan, we're the same age, okay?
Yeah. But I mean, I look at it as like the way that it was versus the way it is now, and I haven't had to adapt. I haven't had to adapt in the same way that these poor kids have to adapt. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Why do you keep saying poor kids?
Would you recommend dentistry to people right now?
Dude, I'm trying to convince my son to do it now.
Oh, geez.
He's 19.
That's wild. That's wild. I have a much more.
No, I shouldn't say convince. I'm having serious conversations, and I keep saying nice things about our profession.
Yeah. So what when you talk to him about it, what's his take on it?
Well, my son sees dentistry through a different lens, because he saw dentistry not as me being a practitioner, but me being a speaker trainer, being gone a lot, working a lot, things like that. So he sees it differently. So a lot of my conversations are around helping him see that dentistry doesn't have to be what I made dentistry out to be, but it can also be that as well if you're entrepreneurial in desire. But look, I still think of dentistry as a great profession. You know, the average dentist still works 4 days a week. The average dentist makes quadruple what the average person in this country make, if not more than that. And sure, we have more debt and things like that. But, you know, I don't understand how the hygiene situation does anything but helps dentistry. Dentists. Let me say that differently. Dentists. Now, what the wild card in this is if suddenly, if insurance companies start saying, well, if Hygiene Light does a cleaning, then reimbursement will be X.
Yeah.
X minus.
How do you? Okay, the insurance companies are they're playing this game too. So I mean, they know what's happening. They know what's going on. So
By
they're
the way, I'm convinced that they're part of pushing the agenda.
They're for sure. They on some level they for sure. I mean, like interestingly, this Nevada thing. So there's a letter from the American Dental Association. They're all for it. They're all for the thing in Nevada, and I can see that's why hygienists are red hot mad about it, because it actually took the state, a state-based thing, and then the national organization weighed in saying, yeah, we're all for this thing. So that signals a lot. And frankly, the American Dental Association might as well be the insurance companies at that point. So
they might as well be corporate and insurance companies, and
exactly,
right in a way, rightfully so. That's where the economics of dentistry are now.
So what's interesting about this to me, and I should have known this from you, what I see is a ton of emotions from dentists and hygienists, because the way this is being played is it's an us versus them thing. And Tarun is like, it's happening. Us versus them is irrelevant. Essentially,
it has to be irrelevant.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's fair, but as emotional people, I can see why people are all red hot about this. That's why I'm sort of enjoying the chaos. But I do believe you're right. The point that people need to think of is, okay, in 5 years or 10 years after this thing has played out, are your emotions about it right now going to mean anything? No. Because it will have already played out, right? 10 years from now, this is going to be, dentistry will be how it is.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Alan. From your perspective, the read, because you guys still have that dental group and everything like that on Facebook and stuff. Sure. So you see lots of dumpster fires and lots of good opinions on there. Is it mainly the hygienists up in arms, or the dentists up in arms too?
I think right now hygienists are more up in arms. I'm going to tell you, Tarun, I'm seeing more talk of hygienists wanting to be independent, completely
good.
Independent.
Encourage them to do it.
I'm all
Colorado tried it.
I know. And what's funny is that they still talk about it. I mean, it has not taken off. It is not. It's not.
I wonder why.
Well, I mean, I always wonder. I'm like, you guys know how overhead works, right? I mean, this is, but I don't know.
No, the greedy dentists. We just make money.
No, that's what it is. Exactly. And it's very frustrating to me. And on the other hand, I don't feel like it's worth my time to try and necessarily explain, I don't know that I could explain exactly. And I understand why they want to be separate. I think anyone who is being honest about it probably will go, wow, this was maybe not the best. I don't know. Maybe it's working great in Colorado. I just haven't heard about it. I don't know.
Probably not.
But I mean, there's calls for it. I read an article, a very well written article. I think it's the president of the American Dental Association, or American Dental Hygienist Association in Virginia, wrote an interesting article about it. And I still think he's kind of missing the point, but he feels like dentistry is all profit driven, and they're all about patient health. And I just, man, that's great, but I don't know. You got to run a business, folks. I mean,
what isn't profit driven in America?
Exactly. I mean, my question is, who's working for free out there? No one is. I mean, that's the story. I don't understand how I don't know. It's wild to me, but I think that there's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of talk about hygienists always getting the raw end of the deal. I don't necessarily see that so much from my standpoint.
I 100% disagree. Well, 100% strong. I 98% disagree that the hygienists get the raw end of the deal. Okay. Right. I mean, for most of them, they get to hold practices hostages at this point in time. Mm-hmm. They get to, for the most part, now we're seeing it calm down where they get to name their price. Mm-hmm. There was a time where hygienists were asking $5,000, $10,000 signing bonuses to switch jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we had hygienists say, I need $5,000 or $10,000 to stay at my job.
That's actual hostage negotiations right there. That's the.
And I don't blame them at all. I would teach my own kids, if you're in a situation where there's not enough of you, you should go ask for more money. Mm-hmm. So I don't blame them. How do you see this playing out, Alan?
I don't know, because I won't lie to you, I'm still hung up in the emotion of it. and not that I have particularly strong emotions about it, but I'm seeing two sides that are very emotion driven with this. And it's what I find refreshing talking with you is that that's fine, but that's not how this is going to be solved. This won't be solved with emotions. This is going to be solved with whatever legislation moves forward. And I mean, honestly, if this thing passes in Nevada, it's going to start happening because cost wise, I mean, it's going to. So, I mean, if the only hope they have of keeping that, it'd be like maybe not having it pass. I don't know, but I mean, like the trend is toward that way. The trend is toward.
Who should be singing its praises are dental assistants.
Yeah, probably.
Because again, on average, I can't speak to every community, okay, but let's call it average hygiene wage is gone. At least in our area, pre-pandemic, it was $35 an hour. Now it's bordering on $50+ an hour. Okay, so now I think this will settle out with hygiene light being $35 to $40 an hour.
Okay.
And so there'll be an upgrade path for dental assistants that want to go down this road, whether that be at some form of school, some form of on-the-job training. And again, I put 10% of the blame on hygienists. The hygienists that are worried about this are hygienists that are doing just hygiene. And what I mean by that is they're not involved in, as much as the hygienists say the patient care is what's most important to us, most of them do nothing to help enroll patients in treatment,
That's right.
to talk to patients about what's going on outside of the pink stippled gingiva, and that's not patient care to me. That patient care is making the patient aware of what's going on in the mouth and giving them a choice of what they would like to do.
I like that a lot, actually. I like that a lot. The interesting thing, so how do you think with all this shaking out, let's just say 10 years from now, like lots of states are doing what Nevada's proposing now, we have hygiene light in place. How do you think like overall dental health changes? Do you think it changes for the better?
For the patient?
Yeah. Yep.
I think the patients will notice nothing.
I think they won't either. I think that's exactly right.
Let's put this into perspective, into something that hopefully we can all understand. Okay. So, and again, I'm broad brush being hyperbolic in some of what I say.
It's okay. No, I think we have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, does the barista at Starbucks actually make any coffee?
I guess I don't know what you mean. I'm assuming.
They assemble coffee that's made out of a machine.
Yes.
And would we say that Starbucks has made coffee experience better overall in this country?
Since before Starbucks? Yes, definitely.
Yes. That is exactly what this will do in dentistry.
Yeah.
For the average 95% of our patients, they wouldn't know if a hygienist is actually cleaning their teeth to begin with.
Exactly. I hate to say that. But you're exactly right. And hygienists are yelling and screaming, but I think because the patient experience, okay, I'm going to argue that someone who's trained, as hygiene light could give a fantastic patient experience, and you could have hygienists or even dentists giving not a great patient experience. Patient experience is almost completely separate from the training or honestly, it's interesting that you say that because like Starbucks is a really good example of that. The experience at Starbucks is overwhelmingly good. And they can just plug anyone in there. The barista, they all
speaking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you press a button.
It's exactly right. But put the wrong name on the cup. That sort of
purposely.
Thing. Exactly. It's like the reality is systems-based offices, it probably wouldn't matter one bit. And I mean, that's.
And again, broad brush, not putting anybody down.
Yes.
Like, most of us should be cleaning with piezos and ultrasonics at this point in time. Like, really, what scientific work does a hygienist? Most of them refuse to diagnose anything anyway, or most states don't let them diagnose anything. I think all states don't let them diagnose.
That's a whole other podcast, but yeah.
I mean, and so like the writing's been on the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, when as a profession you fight the entrepreneurs of the profession, the dentists. You fight them every step of the way. I'm taking money out of it. You deserve to make every penny that you're making. Okay? But when you fight I don't want to learn digital anything.
Yeah.
I'm a hygienist. All I do is scale teeth. Yeah. I don't talk to patients about treatment. What the hell do you expect to happen? Yeah. This is exactly what leadership has made your sub profession in our profession become that you guys have become specialized scalers, and we're going to mechanicalize that scalers. And honestly, I mean, with good conscientious people, you can probably train a lot of people to scale teeth.
100%, 100%. And that's no one wants to hear that, but that's an interesting thing. It's like when rotary endo came along.
Oh God!
You think the endodontists were sweaty? The endodontists were sweaty because a lot more general dentists are doing a lot more endo.
Yeah,
but the reality is
worse.
What's that?
Have the endodontists done worse?
No, they've done way better. It's been a fantastic thing for endo, and there's been more endo done, and endo is better now. Like, there's no doubt about all of that.
This is going to be a positive for our profession.
You know,
it's going to be a negative for people that are resistant to pivoting and who have old mentalities and keep saying, I remember the good old days.
Yep.
Dude, we're in the good old days.
You have convinced me. I still think what's interesting is it's going to take a little while for all of us, except for you, but to get over the emotion part. Because admittedly, this is a lot of emotional kind of thing going on right now. But I think you're exactly right. I think this is actually going to be for the better. No matter how it shakes out, it's going to be for the better. I agree with you completely about that.
For everybody but the small subset of hygienists that don't want to pivot and learn new things.
Yep. No, that's right.
I mean, look, what is assisted hygiene? I mean, what hygienist is for assisted hygiene, for God's sakes? Like, who wants to sit there and scale 16 people a day versus 8 people a day?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes no sense to me.
Who decided that a hygiene appointment was an hour, no matter what the patient's health is? I mean, that's...
Hold on one second, Alan.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Do you have your phone? Okay. Bye. All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
My son's dying to leave.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I get them every other week, and when they are here, they want to leave.
Yeah. They're that age, though. They don't really want to be around for anyone. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But now, all of this said, if I'm a hygienist today, I'm doubling down on my skills as being a patient advocate role within my practice.
Yep. And you have to, depending on the practice, obviously, you have to be okay with, you're educating the patient, but you're also educating the patient about treatment. That's how you make yourself valuable in the practice.
Well, I don't believe in education. I believe we influence and make our patients aware of what's going on. Okay. I think educating them is probably the negative of selling for 90% of our patients. But yeah, I mean, it's if I'm a hygienist, I'm not getting up in arms about this. I'm going to double down on myself, okay, and learn new skills, and everything will be fine. Yeah. Because if you are a hygienist that produces $15,000 to $16,000, $18,000 a month, and by the way, the economics of this are amazing. We're paying almost $9,000 to $10,000 a month to our hygienists, not including what it costs me to have them. So on average, let's say it costs me $12,000 a month to have the hygienist, and then I produce $18,000 a month. So what restaurant survives with labor costs being 65%? It just doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Yep. Exactly.
Restaurants barely survive with labor costs being 35%.
Yeah. What about in California where like literally the hygiene wages are I mean, I've heard 80 to
associate dentist wages.
Yeah. What's that?
They're like you can hire an associate.
They are. And that's and the story is you're like, wait a second. They're going to start just hiring associates to do hygiene because why the hell not? I mean, it is wild. It's wild. And all of this is interesting, and like I said, in 10 years, it will have all shaken out. It's going to be different.
The one that hit home in a laughter way with me was the ones up in arm on one of the dumpster fire boards, not yours, one of the other ones. I love it. That's why I go there to watch.
I know. It's there. It's like a
now they blame the foreign dentists and foreign trained people for I'm like, holy smokes, man! Like, this is becoming political now.
Yeah. Oh, it's very political. But I mean that was one state's or one group's solution to the problem. Allow dental students, which is hilarious, dental students and foreign dentists to come in and do hygiene. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, I was a dental student once. Who the hell has time to go do hygiene in your dental school? And the other thing is, you don't know anything. You'd be the worst hygienist ever. Oh my
the
God.
dental schools are struggling to get patients.
Yeah.
And more are moving to a model where they send their students out to practices.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we'll see more of that. Frankly speaking, in my opinion, that is also good for our profession.
Yep.
I think we'll raise better prepared dentists
For sure.
if they actually go work in a legitimate practice environment with not nearly dead people telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So I think that would be great. And,
I think as much training outside of the academic setting, as much as you can do as a dental student, makes sense.
Dentists don't love hearing this, but essentially we're glorified plumbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think our model is like, really, what science do you use, Alan?
It's the worst kept. Yeah, I totally know what you're saying. Like, first off, when you talk about dental science, I've talked about this so many times. In dental school, there was no. Did you learn literature review in undergrad dental school? No. And literature, if you're looking at it, it doesn't even test what they say they're testing. There's no science. It's all fucking superstition. It's all this is. So yeah, I agree. It's frustrating because and people who know science would poo-poo that, but the reality is I follow the instructions. That's what I do. I don't have a much sense for comparison. Why I don't know. Why did amalgam become amalgam in the first place? Was it science, or was it because that material did what we wanted?
Probably because it was a cheap option to gold.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All of the money.
I'm sure
right?
It was.
If I'm an entrepreneurial dentist, I'm probably applauding this movement of hygiene light, but I'm also mentally preparing for a dentist light.
Yeah.
Because it's a reality as well. So if I'm getting on the hygienist to get their game together, I will tell the dentist to get their game together in the same exact way, and
when you say dentist light, is that like, are you thinking like the dental therapist that's able to do a low level of what dentists do? And if you could have a bunch of dentist lights in your practice and you could be the person who supervises them, you just basically allows you to just do more.
I don't think we have a choice, Alan. I think it's what's happening to our professions. It's what's happening to our profession already. Okay? Because if we think about it, the last time I checked, the statistic was 60 to 70% of all graduates go to work for DSOs. Okay? And most well-run economic DSOs limit what the dentist can do. Because it's a protection issue. And then two, they want to funnel as much as they can to their specialists because that's an economic protection issue. And so essentially what I was going to ask you is, what does low level mean? Does that mean we're doing lower quality or basisk dentistry? No,
I'm saying basic. I didn't mean quality. I mean basic dentistry. The stuff that no one wants to do.
Well, the argument I'm going to make is 80% of what we do in our practice is what I would consider low-level dentistry. I think fillings are quote-unquote low-level dentistry. I call it dental school dentistry. I think single crowns are dental school dentistry. I think basic extractions are dental school dentistry. And so that makes up 80% of what probably most dentists do in dentistry right now. So
I mean, this is like 11 years ago. Okay, so we started the Dental Hacks in 2014, June of 2014. So not quite 11 years ago. You came on the podcast.
No more fillings
episode, and it was like stop doing fillings. Exactly. So like some things haven't changed, and the reality is that someone's got to do them, but you're suggesting that someone may change, like the role of that someone's going to change.
It will.
So that's the dentist light model, essentially.
Yeah. And we have that now. They're called associates.
No, that's exactly right. That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah.
Yeah. They're called, I'm the first 2-3 years out of school. And then the associates either get stuck in that because they don't invest in themselves. or they get stuck in it because they allow their DSO to choose how they invest in themselves.
Sure. No, that's probably
Okay, with my all-included education programs that are a form of control, essentially.
interesting. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and or the ones that get out of it invest in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, you know, it's in my opinion still an amazing profession.
Mm-hmm.
It just won't be your I'm going to hang my shingle on the roof of the 1980s profession.
Sure.
In my office. Like, who builds a practice in it? Like, what new practice has been built in a professional office building in the last 10 years, Alan?
Not a lot. Not a lot that I know of, anyhow. Yeah.
Like, it's freestanding or it's high traffic shopping centers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's again, we can bitch and moan, but it's the reality of our profession. Is it good? Is it bad? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
your argument is that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Yeah, exactly.
No, of course it matters if it's good or bad. There has to be oversight and there has to be logic behind.
I'm sorry. Our opinion, if it's good or bad, doesn't.
Oh, our opinion is already irrelevant.
Yep.
We have,
love that.
you know, I have a couple of things. I have what I call the endangered species of dentists, of dentistry. That's me and you, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because look, if you got 5 years left, this shit really doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll just coast this out.
Yep.
Okay. If you're at the beginning of your career, you will just, it won't be any different to you.
Mm-hmm. You won't.
And then if you're like
you won't do any different. Exactly. Yep.
If you're like me and you, 20 to 25 years in, but still 10, 15 years from being done, we're the endangered species because we risk becoming irrelevant.
Yeah. I think that's very legitimate. I think it's a very legitimate take.
And then the other thing, we have created the private equity DSO model.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
Well, we could just, again, broad strokes, hyperbolic a little bit, but we could cripple DSOs almost within a year if every private practice general dentist decided to hire an associate.
Interesting.
Like, so Alan, if you were advising somebody to come work for you, let's pretend you had a business model where you could support another dentist, or you intended to create that, or they could go work for XYZ corporate down the street. Where would you tell your son or daughter to go work?
With another dentist that has that business model in a second.
Yeah. And so suddenly, if we had 5,000 private practice dentists all clamoring to hire one associate each, the profession would choose to go work with the individual location versus going to work for the man or the suit.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you.
But our profession won't get together and make, we haven't talked in a while. There's a lot going on in my life, a lot going on in all kinds of stuff. But one of the things we're now at 3D Dentist, we're consulting, coaching almost 65 dental practices across the country. And our goal is to help them develop a single location, multi-doctor practice with an on-site practice laboratory. That's our business model that we try to help people to get to. And if we can get more practices like that, the profession, the individual dentist, the associate dentist, the team members, everybody wins in that model because, and then if we could just get organized as a group to fight the insurance companies, to organize against, like, oh my God, I'm here, I'm interviewing you, and I'm going on a soapbox.
That's all right, go for it.
Like DSOs represent probably 20% of dental practices right now, maybe a little bit more. That means 80% are paying the freight for the profits of the dental companies. Okay, because the DSOs buy a lot, but they buy that at a significantly reduced cost, reduced margin, and then that leaves us 80% private practitioners
100%.
To pay all the profits. Like the Big Blue Aligner Company is an amazing example of that. If you're a top tier level provider, you're paying 50% of what I pay or what you pay.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we pay for their majority of their profits.
Yeah. I think that's that's a very fair take. Again, I haven't thought about it that way, but that's a very fair take.
And so at some point, our profession, and then the ADA or the dental societies, and they wonder why people aren't, like, why would I join?
Yeah. That's the story on ADA is not this coming October is the American Dental Association's last annual meeting. The SmileCon that's it. They're done. Can you imagine? 20 years ago, can you imagine say, yeah, the ADA is not going to do an annual meeting anymore? So that says almost all you need to know.
Yeah, but if you think about that, even like that's egos in the room. At some point, go to the CDA, go to the Chicago Dental Society.
Yes.
Chicago Midwinter is run by the Chicago Dental Society.
Yep.
The Hinman's run by whatever dental societies down there.
Yep.
Go to all these states and let's get together, get in a room, and let's figure this out of how do we make this work for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then, look, we've done it to ourselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I mean this with love and respect to myself and to you, Alan. It'll be our generation that will sell out our profession.
I think you're right.
Who else is going to buy my $4 million dental practice?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, there's no one that's going to be
and even if a private practitioner came to me and said, we want to buy it, but XYZ private equity companies offering me 150 to 200% more, like what idiot is going to say, I'm not going to sell out? No, like the same people that say, I don't want to sell out, they don't want to sell out because nobody's offering them anything for their 3-operatory, $800,000 practice. I mean, this is a $700,000 practice that nobody wants to buy that. Mm-hmm. Or at least the private equity businesses don't want to buy.
Oh, yeah. Private equity is not looking at that at all. Exactly.
I mean, we've done it to ourselves and we want to bitch and moan about it. And that's okay.
I agree.
What else is on your mind today, Alan? Tell me something good. What are you learning on your podcast, and what are you learning from people right now?
I learn stuff on the podcast all the time, but what I'm learning is that I feel like, and I say this a lot. I feel like mental health, my personal mental health, and is okay. So I don't worry about. It's been a long time since I've worried about drugs and alcohol, but I feel like social media sort of plays a role like that. And frankly, the internet. So it's like I have to be more aware of what I put in my brain, and I'm maybe not as aware of that as I should be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like my mental health for me was getting off social media.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Are you off completely?
Well, now I'm venturing back in.
Yeah,
but I'm venturing in now with a very different purpose, and that purpose is to serve my business purpose.
That's actually. That's one of my struggles because I don't. Yeah, I mean,
you do have that purpose.
I know I do, and I justify being on it with that. But a lot of what I do isn't serving that purpose. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I still get drawn in by the dopamine hit. On some level.
Yeah,
you were off
your business. You have to be, Alan, because otherwise, where do you get the content for you? How do you keep relevant at the end of the day, you're in the information business in dentistry.
It's true. So I mean, why did I bring up the topic of what's happening in hygiene? Because it's like all I'm seeing on social media, and I go back and forth. Tell me a little bit about you being off social media. Were you off social media?
Well, I got off. So I went through a divorce about 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. It probably started much before that. Mm-hmm. And so my first reaction to that was I'm going to focus on myself. I chose and I had to focus on myself. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I did was get off social media. Mm-hmm. And so
how hard was that when you said, okay, I'm just off social media? How hard was it? How used to it were you?
I was very used to it. Mm-hmm. I had to turn off all notifications on my phone. Mm-hmm. I had to delete the apps on my phone. Mm-hmm. And then I started feeling much better.
I knew that. I knew that was coming. That's the story. Yeah.
And so, and so for me, it's been a good, like as much as we bitch about mental health, I should stop using the word bitch. As much as we're in tune to mental health right now, mm-hmm. we're not in tune to the practices of mental health, mm-hmm. Which is limit screen time, mm-hmm. Good sleep hygiene,
mm-hmm. Exercise, eat
well. Dude, I've lost 70 pounds, mm-hmm. And 60 some pounds. But and 20 points of body fat. Mm-hmm. I mean, and you you do the things that it takes. And if that you need medicine, great. If you don't, great. I mean, whatever it takes, man. And mental health is about getting out and breathing air. And also, I think mental health is also about focusing on the things that aren't doing well in your life and doing something about it. When you're struggling in your practice, get around people that can help you. Don't get around people that want to complain about it. And so, getting off social media. And so I'm venturing back in, but I'm venturing in on, I totally stopped Facebook. Like I totally stopped Facebook. I moved to Instagram a little bit because there wasn't the groups in Instagram. All of that nonsense to me came from the groups. What I considered nonsense. And so now I'm venturing back into the groups because from a business perspective and also from what gives me happiness is sharing and helping and giving my opinion to people. So that's kind of driven me to those things.
No, I think it's smart. I think everyone probably needs to think about that, because I think what becomes automatic in your life, you need to look at the stuff that's automatic that you don't think about. And so even just taking some time away and not being complete is probably good for your mental health. Getting outside, man, it's summertime here, so it's like today's a beautiful day, and I want to get out there. Honestly, my kids just finished school. So they just finished last week. So this is the first week of summer. We were looking at a summer camp that they're going to be going to. It's fun, it's exciting, and that's more important stuff to me than the rest of this. It's probably good to be away from a lot of the garbage that you put in your head. So
my girlfriend said I had the best therapy session she's ever seen a couple of weeks ago in the car. I started using Grok.
Okay.
XAI or whatever. I don't know what it's called. The Twitter AI.
Yeah.
And Grok has the ability to actually talk to you.
Okay.
And so I was walking Grok through my practice. Like literally the prompt started with, Grok, pretend you are a business advisor and a growth specialist from one of the big 3 consulting companies in business.
Okay.
Ask me questions to learn more about my dental practice business.
Amazing.
And it literally started asking me questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that led to one of the questions, like, where do you want to get to? What is your goals? Okay. And then I'd say, well, how do you think I can get to that goal? And what would you tell? Well, how would you as a consultant? And it literally spit out all these answers. And then I said, can you just spit this out as a business plan for me?
Yeah.
Indeed, it did it.
And AI is amazing for doing that stuff. It's like I'm embarrassed to admit how much time just the production stuff has changed since I started using AI. The stuff that I don't like to do in production, AI does super well. So like the fun part is recording with people. The fun part is like having the conversations, and the rest of it's sort of a drag. And frankly, AI does a lot of that.
You could do AI to do research.
Yeah.
For example, if I were interviewing you, like I know you, but I could say, hey, can you do some research on Dr. Alan Mead?
It'll give you way more than you ever want.
Like I want to do an interview with him. Can you give me 5 provocative questions to ask him?
Yeah.
And they would literally, it would do it all for you.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about it is AI can do that stuff, but you know what it can't do is it can't have an interesting conversation between the two people. That's the beautiful thing. So it has its place, and I think that's not going to change. It has its place, and I think as long as people are using it as a tool, but you can still keep that authentic conversation or what have you. It is interesting though.
How are you leveraging AI, or are you leveraging AI in your office?
Not much. I gotta say that like some of the no-brainer things I'm seeing a lot of these like AI note generation things. I saw, God, I forget the guy's name. He was at the Vetter Society in March, and he showed how he uses his, and he just it doesn't take him any time at all. And this is a prosthodontist who's doing all kinds of wacky, like, and his notes are as complete as you've ever seen. And he's like, yeah, it's like, it takes almost no time to do this. And I'm like, okay, and it costs next to nothing for that. You're like, why am I not doing
next to nothing is $200-300 a month to death.
I know it's always, that's the swipe. It's always $200 a month.
Yeah.
But
anything else? What about radio refs?
I haven't yet. I haven't yet. I know but I've seen the upside, particularly with showing patients, and it's very dramatic. I mean, I can see it. I just haven't added it yet.
I think it's pretty accurate. We're using Overjet.
Yep.
In the practice. I'm not here to endorse anything.
I've seen some from Kevin.
Pearl, Overjet, all the good. There's plenty out there,
yep.
and they're all doing good work. One of the interesting areas that I'm using AI personally is in my phone system, not to answer calls, but to see what we're missing. And like I could pull up my phone system and I could tell you, like, for example, the month of May, we got 800 phone calls to the practice.
Okay.
Of the 800 calls. And that's sure. A lot of phone systems for the last 15 years could tell you that kind of stuff.
Sure.
It tells me we missed 12 to 14% of the calls when left unanswered, which I think is a decent number. But then if you think about it, that's 70 calls, 75 calls that we didn't answer, right? But then what I find interesting is I click a button, and if the word implant was said in those phone calls, which is, area that I want to do more of, I can see a list of every one of those calls.
That's wild. Oh, that's amazing. Every time someone comes up with this is how I'm using AI, I'm like, oh my God. It makes
then it'll tell me which of those appointments were booked.
Yeah.
Not booked. And the ones that I'll dial into the ones that weren't booked. And then I'll look at those and be like, I'll listen to the AI transcript or the AI summary, and then sometimes read the transcript. And I'll be like, all right, this is probably why the patient didn't book. Or even if this wouldn't have changed anything, let me talk to them about how we say this better, train them better.
That's wild. That's wild.
I call it the last mile of dentistry.
Yeah.
The 1%.
Yeah.
Alan, if, how many dentists are an interesting breed. How many of them would sign up for a program that said how to make you 1% better?
I don't know. You're right. Dentists are an interesting breed, and I think that you'd have not as many takers as probably you should.
Yeah, but that last 1% is massive.
It can be, sure.
1%, by the way, 1%, in the world I live in or try to live in, 1% of all the edentulous patients would be 700,000 fixed hybrids a year.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, it's always great catching up.
Yeah,
I know it's summertime in Michigan. Yeah. So you're not working on Mondays, huh?
No, nope.
Good for you.
Yep. No, it's kind of cool. And I will say that every time I've talked to people about this, your time is always, it's like, it's the same thing with money, no matter what, I just paid my house off. Think all the money up. No, you'll find something spare enough. It's the same thing with time. It's like, it's a matter of, it's great though. A lot of time, my kids. So, and my oldest is going to be senior in high school next year.
And he's playing band still?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh yeah. He's going to a camp, a summer camp. That's a big.
This one time at band camp?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We just toured it yesterday. It was nuts. So.
Alan Mead, Mead Family Dentistry, the Very Dental Podcast, Very Dental Facebook group. Alan, it is always great to catch up to longtime friends. I don't like to say old friends, but longtime friends.
Accurate, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but
Well, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.